Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Nigeria's finest breakfast show, Global Morning. It's now time for us to talk to Bishop Johnson, U.S. Army retired officer who is now the National Defense and Military Strategist. He's speaking to us from Owerri. Good morning, Bishop Johnson. Hello, good morning.
Speaking to you from... Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for
joining us.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I'm speaking to you from Abuja.
From Abuja, okay, you're in Abuja now. Okay, sorry for my mix-up there. All right, Johnson, let's look at the insecurity facing the FCT specifically. We had the Senate yesterday give directives to the FCT minister to see how he can revitalize the CCTV cameras across the FCT as regards the issue of kidnappings, one chance menace, and all this facing the FCT and the country at large. We also saw the attack of Mala Buni's convoy returning from the convocation ceremony of the University of Maiduguri, where security personnel lost his life. Then also we had the House of Reps interface with the service chiefs, and they made very damning revelations, one of them being that the prison warders work hand in hand with the insurgents, use their account details to transfer money that are used for crimes, and the fact that also the Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar made credence to the fact that our borders are very porous and poorly manned. And let's look at all these issues. For you, how bad is the Nigerian situation?
Well, we have been on this matter. Personally, I've been on this issue of security in Nigeria for almost a decade now. Okay. And I don't believe that we've made significant progress. It seems that for every step we take forward, we take two more steps backward. I listened to the presentations by the various service chiefs to the members of the House of Representatives, and they were very much on point on the various reasons why we have not been able to achieve the level of security that we need in this country. Some of which you have alluded to. You have some corrupt elements. It's not just only in our prisons. You also have corrupt elements in the other services, including the police and even that military. Some of whom have been sabotaging the efforts of their comrades who are working very hard day and night within the limited resources that they have been provided with to discharge their duties in the manner that Nigerians expect. Unfortunately, they can't do magic. I've always said this in most of my presentation that they cannot do magic. They can only perform within the limits of their capability, in which, as we all know, their capability is not what it needs to be. If you take the police, for example, they don't have the required number of manpower to police this country. Even the personnel they have, most of them are attached to VIPs, leaving very, small number of officers to patrol the streets and keep criminals at bay. It is started with our armed forces. And so we have to take a very comprehensive look, very holistic approach in terms of how we restructure our security architecture. And like the CDS said, security is everybody's business. Everybody has a role to play. Security operatives cannot be everywhere every time. The citizens have a responsibility to report to security operatives if they see something that is out of place or strange in their community. Because nobody knows their community better than them. They know it better than even those security operatives themselves. And so there's a lot more work to be done for us to achieve the level of security that we desire in this country.
All right, looking at the revelations, for instance, the Air Marshal, he mentioned that the budget given to them for aviation fuel, for instance, is pegged at 360 naira to a liter, but currently is at 1,150 naira later. Do you think the Nigerian government is really sincere in its fight against insurgency if they really want to? Because if you look at the rates, for instance, the CDS also made mention of the fact that one precise missile, drone missile, cost $5,000 for one, and they can barely, purchase as many as they would want. He made mention of the $1 billion that was given to the Nigerian army during the Burutai era, and he said as much as 600 million was used in purchase of aircraft, fighter jets, and so they had nothing left to, buy other needed hardwares. For you, do you think the federal government is also sincere in its in terms of funding of the military?
Well, I'm not going to say that the federal government is not sincere in terms of funding the military. I think they've been sincere in trying to do whatever they can to fund the military. But the truth of the matter is that the country is facing very severe revenue shortfall. It's not only those in the security sector that are complaining. ASU is complaining. Those in the medical services are complaining. Various workers, Nigerian workers, Nigerian Labour Congress, a lot of people are complaining in this country. So many various sectors of the Nigerian society is complaining. And it's as a result of, shortfall in revenue. The government has to find a way to diversify this economy, bring in more and more revenue, expand the tax net, not just taxing people who don't have source of income. You have to grow the economy, make sure more people are earning income. If more people are earning income, then they will pay tax. And as they're paying tax, more the government revenue will grow. So long as we are going on this, we remain on this trajectory of depending on crude oil as our main source of revenue, we will continue to have these issues across all sectors, not just the armed forces, not just the police. I know before now that they are underfunded, because if you compare our defense budget expenditure with even these small countries, our neighbors, you discover that per capita they are budgeting more for their national defense than we are budgeting. And so it's not a matter of federal government not being sincere. It's a matter of the fact that the country has limited resources that will go around every sector of our country. Because you can't just fund only the military or the police. You have to still fund education. You have to still fund health. You have to still, build roads, bridges. You have to build infrastructure. So by the time this limited resources is spread, they don't get enough to actually be able to achieve their main goal or objective.
All right, so let's look at your experience while with the U.S. Army in comparison to the Nigerian military. What are those factors, or you think that has made it impossible for the Nigerian Army to achieve great success and synergy? Because in the past few days and weeks and months, we've been hearing a supervisory battle between the Air Force and different paramilitary organizations. Why are we not having synergy? Why is corruption still endemic within the military, so to say?
Well, this interagency rivalry has always been a serious problem in Nigeria. I think I was reading there's one between the police and the army.
Yeah, in
I think in Adamawa State. And so this is becoming a very serious problem that the government is going to have to take seriously. Because these agencies are not in competition. They're not in conflict with each other. As a matter of fact, they should be complementary to each other for them to be able to achieve that same objective, because all of them want to achieve the same objective, peace and security in Nigeria. So when we have them at each other's throat, that makes it much more harder for any one of them to separately achieve that goal of security and peace. And so to that extent, I think that
All right, let's just quickly cast, before we call it a wrap, let's look at the FCT, the fact that the Senate has given mandate to the FCT minister as regards the CCTV cameras across the FCT. Is that the best solution towards curbing the crime and criminality in the FCT, curbing the one chance phenomenon and others? Is that what is going to solve that problem?
Well, in it alone, the CCTVs alone can't solve the problem. But the CCTVs are tools that will help in solving some of the problems. If you look at some of the major cities, across the globe, they all have CCTV systems in which when there's an incident, they will have somewhere to fall back and see, what they can find. And so it's a very vital tool in the toolbox of law enforcement officers. And so if there's any way it can be revitalized, I don't see any problem with that, particularly when we had already invested billions of naira in trying to put them in place only for them to be lying idle for all this number of years. So I think it's a right move in the right direction if we can get them to work. I should equally even add that it should be expanded. Shouldn't just be that of the government-funded or installed CCTVs. There should be a requirement for businesses in the FCT, mandating them to install CCTV cameras, in their businesses for their own interests, to protect their own businesses. If you go to London, you see CCTVs everywhere. If a crime takes place, within the next few minutes or few hours, they've already seen, video footage of whoever committed that crime. We need that kind of thing in the FCT, particularly as the city is growing at the rate at which it's growing. And so we have to also be expanded and, and re-strategizing to be able to cope with that growing population. So yes, it's not in it alone, it can't solve the problem. You still need people that will run the CCTV. You still need police on the ground. You still need the other law enforcement agencies. We still need them to also work in synergy, like as you have pointed out. In addition to having the CCTV also work. So that CCTV is an added advantage that will make their job a lot more easier for them.
All right. I want to say thank you very much for joining us this morning and sharing your thoughts and experience as regards the insecurity bedeviling the FCT and the country at large.
Thank you for having me, Tony.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, that's how we're going to call it a wrap on Nigeria's Finest Breakfast Show, Global Morning on Global Television. I want to say a big thank you also to the Executive Chairman of Ikwere Local Government Area in Rivers State, who joined us this morning to help us talk about development at the local government levels and their challenges. My name remains Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for being part of the show. Good morning, Nigeria.